Hello there, Leo. Thank you so much for stopping by for your tarot video insights for the month of June. What I'm looking at for you guys as far as your environment as you go through this particular life cycle that we're taking a peek at here is that there is something about your environment, and your environment can be any place where you have energy or effort invested. Mostly I see it come up as home, but once in a while work or school will show up here as well. So any place you have energy or effort invested, something about your environment, there is some good news about um, an upgrade or about a new influx of finances. So if this is talking about your home, this could be adding on a room or upgrading kitchen cabinets or anything along those lines. If this is talking about work, this could be a raise or a promotion. This could also be something that would be something that you would look at and enjoy. Aesthetic is the word I'm looking for. Aesthetic improvements in your environment as well. But it is a positive improvement. It is something that you will be happy about. The next thing that I'm looking at talks to me about your subconscious leanings. And it looks like to me there is something that you would like to do that would not only improve things for yourself, but also for others around you. I feel like for many of you Leos, this is talking about for members of your family as well. And this is something that your subconscious is working on. Okay, I know that I would like to see this improvement come into place. How do I make that happen? That's what's going on in your subconscious. And then looking at your learning style, I do feel like right now you are learning a lot of stuff. It's almost like the springtime of learning. It's like you kind of took a break from picking up new information, from doing research, from learning. You kind of were in a situation where you're retired, you're like, blech. And now things are, you're starting to be more interested in finding out new things again. So I'm not quite sure what that's all about, but it's an interesting thing to come up. But this is where you're learning and you're growing in what you're learning very, very quickly. Maybe you're taking some new classes. This could be formal classes, but this also could be, informal classes, getting together with other people who know stuff that you want to know and just talking to them. At like meetup groups or something like this, where it could be not like college or school courses, but classes that somebody offers to teach you certain particular things that can be covered, in a session or two. And that feels like, to me, Leos, it feels like there's some certain area of study that you want to learn about. I don't know if I would even call it an area of study, but there's something definitely particular that you want to learn about. And I feel like you are finding out that information and you're finding out fast and growing with it really fast. Now, as far as communication style, I feel like right now, at least during this life cycle, you are communicating about the highlights of things mostly. You're talking about the good stuff. I feel like anything that happens that's not good is not worthy of passing through your lips for this particular life cycle. So that's a good thing. That goes along with law of attraction, actually. The next card that comes up talks to me about, and I'm not showing you guys the cards. I actually don't have copyrights to show you guys these cards in this video. And really the most important thing is not the card, but the message. So the next thing that I have coming up talks to me about your work. And what we have for work for you guys, now you have to know for me, I'm strange about work because that can be inner work, working on that inner self, or it can be how you make a living type work. So there's something here about being taken advantage of. So obviously if this is for outside work, work that's not on your inner self, this can be somebody is having you do things for them and they're not paying you, or else they're not paying you a reasonable amount. For what you're doing. If this is inner work, I would say that right now on an inward basis, you're kind of going backwards. And I'm not sure how you could actually go backwards for very long by yourself. Maybe you could. Like the only way I can imagine that somebody could go backwards on their inner work is if you're doing some self-talk that is really negative and you're kind of beating yourself up all the time. That would be pretty much you taking advantage of yourself in inner work and really running yourself down. That's never productive. It never makes life easier, better, happier, for anybody, yourself or anybody around you. Ba-bum, bum, bum. The other thing that could be going on, though, and I feel like this is more true for more of you than the whole running yourself down. There's somebody around you who is impacting your sense of who you are, your sense of self, your sense of worth, and they're impacting it in a very negative way. I feel like this is somebody who you are encouraging, you're uplifting, you're supporting or helping, but I feel like they are doing the opposite to you. To me, this would be somebody who is very, very hurt. And I don't mean like, oh, my feelings are hurt, you said such a mean thing. I mean, this person has been hurt at deep levels from a long time ago and has never processed that or released it. And so it oozes. It's like a sore that has never healed and it is still oozing pus. This person is basically, essentially, emotionally oozing pus. They're being nasty and mean. Mean's a good word. Mean is a 4-letter word. Did you guys know that? They're being mean. They maybe even be being abusive. Definitely emotionally abusive is what I feel like. So you've got some kind of influence in your life. If this is not you being emotionally abusive to yourself, this is somebody else that could be being emotionally abusive to yourself if this part of this reading actually applies to you. And like I said in the introduction, general reading, not everything is going to apply to everyone. All right. And if it doesn't apply to you, don't worry about it. Okay, so the next card that we have talks to me about that part of you that is being grown or expanded right now. And this is really a good card to see, especially when I just saw that with work. I like seeing this grown or expanded card because this talks about really getting in touch with your own inner self, your own inner voice, your own inner vision, your wisdom. This is getting in touch with sacred spirit to hear that, because that's where our inner vision and our inner wisdom comes from anyway. That's, you know, sacred spirit is the source of all things, including our own inner selves. So getting really in touch with ourselves, getting really in touch with sacred spirit in general, and starting to feel like we have a purpose and we have a mission. This is what this is talking about for you guys, Leo, that you are developing in that area. You're starting to figure out what your purpose is, what your mission is, in spite of what's going on over here on this side with this emotional stuff. So that's where you're really growing right now. And that's awesome. That is a card about enlightenment. You are becoming enlightened. Now, the next card that comes up talks to me about those things that you stand for. Ooh, you're going through some heavy-duty change. Okay, so those things that you stand for, what we have here is that you've been sort of bleeding out energy to people around you or to one person around you, especially for most of you, but to people around you in general. It's kind of been the way you've handled things is to give, 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 give. And you're not so good at receiving. And also people who take also are not so good at giving, which makes it kind of a double whammy when it's time for you to get help, because who's going to offer that help? The person who always wants you to give? Probably not. And how are you going to receive that help if you've programmed yourself to always be giving? So what I see you standing up for here is you're making that switch. You're making that energetic shift from you always being the person giving to, you know what? I could use some help right now. At the very least, I need to stop giving so much of myself because I need to support myself and take care of myself here. Okay, so that's interesting because this kind of came up for cancers too. Not exactly the same way though. But you're standing up for the idea that it's okay for you not to help every single person that comes to you and asks for help, because you might need to take care of yourself. That's what I see you standing up for during this life cycle, and good for you. Now, ba-da-da, ba-da-da. How do other people perceive you? This is really a nice thing. What I'm seeing is that other people are seeing you as very comfortable in your own skin, which means you've accepted your mistakes, you're fine with those. You know that you can change them should you decide to choose to, but maybe right now that's not the highest priority. And you've also accepted your good points. You're not in this place where you can't see your good points too. So you have a good sense of your own self-worth, what you bring to the table, what your value is. This is how other people perceive you, as having a really good sense of who you are and what you're worth. Now, the lesson or experience that you're going through during this life cycle is one of stepping back and regrouping. So this is stepping out of a situation to kind of give yourself some time to think about it objectively. You know that saying, you can't see the forest for the trees. If you're right in the middle of the forest, you can't see the borders of the forest. You can't see how big the forest is. You can't see how healthy the forest is. But if you step back out of the forest, if you can fly over it in an airplane, you can get an idea how big it is. You can get an idea how healthy the trees are. This is that stepping back. This is giving you that chance to get that airplane perspective here, where you're up above things, you're stepping away, so you're not right in the middle of everything going on and just trying to deal with it all as it happens. You're stepping back and looking at the patterns, looking at the picture, looking at the big picture, and figuring out, okay, am I on course in this forest? Is this forest a forest that I want to be in, or do I want to be in a different forest? If I want to be in this forest, what do I want to change about myself as I navigate through this forest? What do I want to change about who I have around me? Do I want to change the people that I have around me? Do I want to have more people around me that support me and help me as I go through my life? Or do I want to keep on being support and help to people who don't know how to support and help me? Do I want to keep on with these people that are dragging me down? Or do I want to find friends where we can have a more equal partnership? How much of a load can I actually carry? Yes, it would be nice to carry the whole world. We would all, at some point, love to carry the whole world. But how realistic is it? How much of the world can you carry? How much of the world can you carry and still be yourself? How much of the world can you carry and still take care of you? All of these things are going to be things that are on your mind as you're stepping back. Okay? Now, as you are thinking these things over, I feel like you guys are going to be coming to some big revelations. Like I said, your enlightenment is totally expanding right now. One of the things that happens as you're stepping back and thinking these things over is some of the stress that you've been carrying around, and I feel like you've been carrying it around, many of you Leos, long term, some of the stress starts to evaporate and go away. For some of you, very suddenly. As soon as you say, you know what, I'm stepping back a little bit here for a few minutes, few days, few weeks, whatever. For some of you, it just kind of gradually, as you have that time to think things over, and as you have those revelations, some of that stress starts to just kind of lift gradually in layers. Okay? But I do see stress lifting as you're stepping back and taking a look at these things. The other thing that is happening, I feel like you are making some big revelations, and some of those revelations are that not all of those revelations, but some of those revelations are that these things that you have been dreaming about and hoping for, that some of them really are not realistic. Maybe those dreams have conflicting ideas in them. And those two conflicts just can't happen. I mean, it's two ends of one duality. So there is some realization about the idea of expectations, and maybe that your expectations were more than are realistic. And when I say this, you guys have to remember that I really think that we are unlimited. We are unlimited potential. And so we can do or be anything if we reach for it, if we really want to do it, if we enjoy doing it, especially. But whenever I talk about expectations that are too high or expectations that are not realistic, what I'm talking about is our expectations of other people, because everybody's on their own journey. And sometimes people aren't in a place to understand that they are unlimited potential, And sometimes they aren't in a place to get out of the forest and see the trees, or get out of the trees and see the forest. And so not everybody's where we are. And sometimes when we realize that, you can't drag a person to where you are, and you realize where they are and where you would have to go to meet them, that can be something that is a little bit saddening. And I do think you have some of that going on, where you're feeling a little bit sad about some of the realizations that you're having about what you were expecting from other people and how realistic it is to expect from that person in this particular time. Okay? Maybe in the future, but in this particular time. Okay? And so ultimate fulfillment of this life cycle, to me, this looks like really everything that, it looks to me like you had a lot of options that you were thinking about on your plate. Maybe you were trying to do like all of these different things, or trying to pursue all of these different things. I see you really narrowing down the things that you're chasing. Okay, so whatever it was that you were ambitious about, I see you really focusing in that lens and looking at, okay, what is the most important thing? And starting to really chase that most important thing to you. And I feel like this is tied into the whole enlightenment thing, the whole part where you're growing and you're finding your purpose. I feel like you're going to be starting to chase more of those things that align with what you feel like your purpose is now. Okay, so that is your monthly insight for June, Leo. Thank you so much for stopping by, for hanging out, liking, sharing, subscribing, commenting. I do appreciate all of your support. I'm excited about you guys getting enlightenment. Yay. Everyone have a fantastic month, and I will see you back here the next time. Peace out.